so that they can make it easier to find and then show. Two of the BurnerSphere Film Festival. So how many of you were here with us yesterday? I see a few people. I know some people already went to claim their spot inside the film festival world. So it's so good to see returning faces. And for those of you joining us for the very first time, welcome home. We're so glad you're here. And I'd like to thank Carlos Austin, who manages 3 avatars, 3 cameras, to create the dynamic live stream that you are seeing on YouTube. So hello to all of you watching on YouTube, and hello to those watching on Zoom. Thank you so much, Doug, for managing the world and managing the Zoom. Hello to everyone that's watching. Now, if you're on YouTube, please click that like and subscribe button so that you're always getting the newest content that we have coming to you. So please like and subscribe as soon as you can. And before we begin, the biggest thank you, the most gratitude that I have are to our campmates. Those whose campmates whose camp dues make these gatherings possible and keep the festival free and accessible for everyone. Without your camp dues, we just can't do this. So thank you to everyone who has joined as a campmate. If you're enjoying this, enjoying your time here, we want to encourage you to help sustain this space and invite you to join the community as a campmate and contribute. So thank you very much. So a quick bit of housekeeping, so to speak. If you're new to BurnerSphere, send a few people some friend requests, especially me and Doug and Justin and some of the organizers, because if you send a friend request, then you'll be able to find that person later. And what I mean is you can open up your friend browser, which in VR is the red bead, and you just grab the bead. If you're on your computer or desktop, then it's the 2 people hugging each other, that icon, that opens up your friend browser. Everyone that you're friends with is going to have a little green dot next to their name. You click on their name, it brings up their friend card, which you can grab and look at. But you'll also notice on the lower left that there's a little go to button. You can click the go to button and that takes you to exactly what world that they are in. Not exactly where they are, but exactly what world that they are in, and then you got to go find them. So if you get separated or you're coming onto the platform and you're just trying to find your friends, that's how you do it. Also, especially important with this film festival, the best viewing experience is that you can control your audio settings. You open up your settings, which is the gear icon in the upper right of your desktop, or the purple bead on the bracelet. You just pull that off with your grip button and let it go, and that will spawn your settings menu. You'll see audio at the top. This is where you can adjust your ambient volume. That will turn the film sound up or down. And if you're jamming on the dance floor and you want to turn that up, you can do that there as well. And if you want to adjust the chat volume during the Q&A, this is where you adjust the chat volume up or down. Now, while we are doing the film, while we're screening the film and doing the Q&A, we ask everyone to please mute yourself. So please mute yourself while you are watching the film and watching the Q&A, and then we'll ask for questions afterwards and you can unmute yourself. The mute button, if you're in VR, is on your bracelet. It's green or red, depending on whether you're muted or unmuted. We also have a shortcut on your left controller. You can hit the X button and that will mute and unmute you. If you're on your desktop, you can mute yourself with the microphone up on the upper right, and you can mute and unmute yourself there. We encourage you to take photos and share them, and that's with your selfie stick, which is the little camera on your desktop, and you hit the starburst to take the photo, and it is the Y button on your, whoop, there's my selfie stick, the Y button on your hand controller to open it and close it. Okay, so here's how the morning's going to flow. We're going to head into the film festival portal together to watch our first film, Kids at Burning Man. And after the screening, we'll return there for a live Q&A. And then we'll move into our second film right away, also in the film festival world, Art into the World, followed by another Q&A. Each film is about 20 minutes long, and the Q&As are also about 20 minutes long. 2 films, conversations in between, community throughout. All right, let's gather ourselves and head into the portal together. But real fast, I have a couple minutes. Did anybody have any questions? I saw some new people pop in. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, great.
Don't be shy.
So join us in the film festival portal. Let's go. Head on in. Do you want to check in with her and make sure she's set up? Great, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're going to wait just a couple minutes while everyone portals over. Do I see Admiral, Digitally Wired, Early? Hey, Early.
Morning. Hey.
Good morning. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Another Mystery.
I thought I was late.
Oh, there's Terry. Hi, Terry. Welcome. Hi, CJ. Welcome. Fantastic. And Mice and Ninja. We got a good crowd today. Hey, Peter. Good morning.
Hi, Athena. I had to restart because as soon as I went into the Black Rock Bijou, my avatar started glitching.
Oh, gosh, no. That's terrible. Sometimes glitching. Always pitching. Did you see the candy in the bijou?
Honestly, as
Yes,
soon as
that's
I went in,
excellent.
I could see that I'm half on the under the roof and could just see my hand and nothing else. So.
Oh, yeah. That's like this weird glitch. Yeah.
I'll try that again if it works. Are we doing it
Yes,
inside?
I know. Show Peter. Show Peter the candy and Problem Child. This is our Fuck Your Burn Bar.
This is called Breakfast of Champions.
I want sparkle ponies.
I don't even want to know how
Sparkle
that
ponies. Sparkle ponies, taste the rainbow.
Yeah, they're inside.
Hey, you have good taste in clothing.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. It was kind of assigned. I just tried to go and change it, and there were no choices. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm having the same
Oh,
problem.
that
my
is
God,
so weird. Yes. Doug. Hey. Hello.
Athena?
Doug, are you present?
Athena,
Yes.
it's Mark.
Doug needs some
Hey.
candy.
It was funny. So I was here last night, and I saw Doug, and I told him about a glitch that I was having in this world,
Yeah.
and he figured out what it was
Yeah, let's see
that
if the
because I have a
popcorn's
Quest
working
2 on, some
Try
of
this
the
night, forget it,
textures in this world were too complex for it to,
Right.
to read. So
But
now when I was
Peter's
looking at, yeah, go ahead.
Peter's having a different problem that I'm going to try to solve in
Okay.
this moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It only
Doug,
happens when
Peter
going
has
through
the glitch where his hand is pinned to his face.
Oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah, your hand is pinned to your face.
It happened as soon as I
Okay,
went to the
so-
micro-
So, Peter, all you need to do is open up your friend browser, pick somebody that's in this world, and then go to them, and it'll take you back to this world.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is I cannot.
You can't even see it.
No, I cannot click it. I can see it, but I cannot click it. I can see. Yeah, no, I can't close it.
Copying is a way of flattering, right? The appreciation.
I might go in and out.
What's great is you can see us at a distance, whereas all these dark avatars, they disappear when you go too far away.
No, it's true. It's true.
I used to have the puffy jacket, but you can't see your wrist. If you try to look at your wrist's bracelet, it's all
Right,
covered
thanks.
up. Super hard.
Yeah. Ecophobia is the angle. Fucking angles.
Let's see. What time is it? 2 minutes.
It's
12
about
minutes
that
out.
time.
Yeah.
Waiting for my countdown, and we'll get going.
I think I'll stay about an hour, then I head over to the voyage and see how big that's going to be with that new graphic.
All right, everyone, let's begin our first film of the day.
Oops.
Up next, Kids at Burning Man. This mini documentary explores what it's like to grow up in Black Rock City. I mean, honestly, I thought that would be an amazing childhood as well. And what it means to parent in one of the most radically expressive environments on Earth. The film touches on the history of families of the playa and the challenges that they experience. And the real questions that arise when raising children in a temporary city built on art, participation, and self-reliance. Burning Man is often seen through the lens of spectacle and adult experience, but this film widens the frame. It invites us to consider legacy, responsibility, and how culture is transmitted across generations. Whether you've brought children to the playa, grown up in the community, or never considered this side of the story, this film offers a thoughtful and human perspective. So settle in and let's step into Kids at Burning Man. By the way, you can watch on the screens out here, or you can also watch inside the bijou for a more cozy experience. So please mute yourself and let's watch the film. Roll it.
This is my first burn. This is my second burn.
It's my 5th year going.
I'm Lulu, I'm a burner, and this is my 18th Burning Man.
I'm Malio, and this is my first year at Burning Man.
The first year I went to Burning Man was 1995. I was 6 or 7 years old, I learned to ride my bike here. I actually also learned to drive at Burning Man when I was much older. I had a lot of life's firsts out here in the desert, and a lot of my growing up happened here, even if it was just in that 1 week a year, every year.
What's Burning Man about?
Well, I always was told it's an art festival. I think of it more as like an awesome holiday.
What I think it is it's a gathering of a lot of people.
It's a place where you can go and take a break from the real world and never don't have to worry about work for a whole week, I think.
In my opinion, it's a chance to have a ton of fun.
A place where lots of people come and build stuff. This is the only time you can just do what you want to do.
It's like a community with a lot of kids and adults, and
my favorite part of Burning Man is seeing all the art.
I like fire.
My favorite is the art cars.
Art cars?
Art cars. They're really cool. The art cars are these cars that are decorated.
The craziest thing I've seen at Burning Man yet is the octopus that shoots fire.
It's just roaming around. It's got fire. It's really cool.
There's the Burning of the Man on Saturday. A lot of rides and cool structures that you can see. There's a bunch of art exhibits. Some of them you just look at, some of them you can really climb on.
For the kids, it's way out there. Who doesn't want to sail on a pirate ship in the middle of a dust storm?
I have identical twin boys, Aaron and Theo. They're almost 4 years old, and this is their 4th burn, 5th if you count in utero.
Burning Man is a man. And he burns down, and the temple.
I've had a lot of people ask me over the years, what is Burning Man to me, because of the fact that I've been here for so long. It's a very difficult question for me to answer because it is so many things to me at this point. It's all of my friends. It's the greatest party you'll ever go to. It's my favorite neighbors.
I actually learned how to fire dance, and that was really awesome.
At first, it was a way to plug into a completely accessible community, which I had never experienced before and had a really profound impact on me. I didn't grow up in the context of organized religion, so I didn't have that kind of structured community.
Burning Man to me is where I get to be who I actually am all the time, every day.
And I was just really taken with how approachable everybody was. It didn't matter if they were, fabulous looking aliens, completely naked, or totally normal looking. You could walk up and have a very earnest conversation with anyone. And there was just no pretense or kind of boundary there.
We were always a family. It's like a family reunion with people you're just meeting for the first time. We went out to the desert, there were kids out there in the first year, and then other parents thought, oh, you can do that, and it's not gonna harm them.
This is the 3rd time I brought my daughter.
Dust, she doesn't mind. The dust, she doesn't care. She wants to play in the dust. The heat, well, of course you have to protect her, but that's why you're a parent.
During the day, some people think it's really, really hot, but that's normal for me. And then at night, I think it's really, really cold, but some people, they're really used to that.
I learned a lot about how to take care of yourself, whether it's weather or dehydration or slicing yourself open on rebar, how to actually handle those crisis situations.
This year we had the Black Rock Scouts on the playa, and this has been a group that's been in operation for a long time.
It's basically where kids can go to different places and you could help light lamps so people could see where they were going at night.
I've talked to her about the 10 principles, what she thinks it means, what I think it means.
People give gifts without expecting anything in return.
There's a lot of ages and different sizes, and everyone just shares in the community. Top 10 things I've experienced is meeting new people, learning how to express yourself, knowing how to live in these conditions. You have to bring all your food and there's no electricity. Getting the experience to climb all these art cars and art installations, being able to do behind the scenes stuff, gifting to people, learning how to talk to people that you don't know, how to make friends, seeing a bunch of different emotions like sadness, happiness. It's like all in one, but at the end of the day, everybody's just happy. And then seeing the man burn, which is the best experience of all.
I think that a lot of people have a hard time with the concept of bringing children to Burning Man, and I think that a lot of that stems from either a misconception of what the event is or their own personal interpretation of what the event is.
Telling people that you take your family to Burning Man definitely does get the full spectrum of responses. For people who are critical of it, I simply remind them that in any city of 70-odd thousand people, you're going to have a host of potential experiences, and it's your responsibility as a parent to control which of those experiences your children are actually interacting with and exposed to.
For some people, this is not the place to bring your children. If you are a party person who's going to go out every single night and go dancing and not come home and not take very good care of yourself while you're out here, you should probably not also bring your children here. But if you're a person who wants to involve your children in your life as an adult, and you're a person who supports those children and wants them to experience the things that you experience, then I think it's a great place for kids.
The people who say Burning Man is no place for a kid, I think it is a place for a kid. It is the place for a kid to learn about interaction, to learn about values. Just meeting people, just talking to people. She doesn't care about naked people, or it's all there, but she doesn't care. It's the grown-ups who care. It's the grown-ups who have a problem with it.
They're never unchaperoned. I know that that's no guarantee that they aren't going to witness something kind of provoking or challenging, but at its worst, I figure anything like that is just going to prompt a conversation, and you can't be afraid to have those conversations with your kids.
Well, my mom, in the default world, I don't think she'd walk around without a top. And in the default world, I don't think my dad would walk around in a kilt.
It's only through avoidance, mystifying things and making them other or forbidden, by just kind of confronting it head on and not being afraid to address it in the moment.
You know, any criticism of mixing children in with it, I think is true in any large city. And this is a city, there's 50,000 people. You know, there are things that aren't appropriate for kids. I think it's well separated, and I think it's healthier here than back in big cities.
As a child, I didn't experience any drug culture at Burning Man. Nobody ever offered me drugs when I was a kid. I think it's a very responsible community. I was offered drinks at bars in San Francisco before I was 21, before I was ever offered a drink at a bar at Burning Man. There's a culture of responsibility for each other and for ourselves, and that's something that I think really is fantastic for children who grow up here. They're able to take on that responsibility for themselves and also see others at least being conscientious.
In any community, there are children. Burning Man is a city. Cities have children. Children learn from their parents, they learn from the other people around them, the values and the mores of the city, you know, of the community. So they learn how to be the kind of people that we want to be, all of us out here, by being here with us.
We are in Kidsville. There's like trampolines,
the voodoo shooting gallery,
dodgeball, pillow fight arena.
Kidsville began as a place for families to come together and share their Burning Man experience together.
The kids can find out about the inner workings of Burning Man. They can go to the airport, they go to the radio station. It's really important for kids to be able to be here at Burning Man.
Anybody who takes kids out there knows that it's a wonderland for kids, and they can take delight and experience wonder in the same way at the same time as the adults and for the same reason. How often do you get to do that? How meaningful is that?
They get to experience adults in a state of play and wonder. In the rest of the world, they don't get to see adults like that very often. It kind of levels the playing field in experience between child and adult in a really beautiful and innocent way.
It really shows them that anything's possible. They can do anything they feel like if they figure out how. It's really a valuable lesson in our society, you know, back in the default world. In so many cases, kids are just watching, and their own making and doing is not necessarily as valued as it should be, whereas out here, every little thing that a person does to contribute adds to the whole and can be valued equally, and the kids are actually doing something.
How could you have a real community without having kids in it? Without having elders in it and kids? You know, how can you have a real community if the elders and the kids aren't talking to one another and the parents in the middle are looking at both of them? That's what family's for.
Children can learn so many things from Burning Man. Just being able to say yes to the unusual and to say yes to the things that the standard cultural norms try to prevent us from doing. Touching the art was an amazing thing for me as a child.
When she was little, they used to have the kids pull the rope to raise the man when he was lying flat on the ground. And it took all the kids to get the man standing up and, you know, some grown-ups on the end pulling too. It was a valuable part of what we did, and they were valued for their contribution. So I think that's one of the most important things about having kids at Burning Man. It's a great leveler for all of us.
Last year we went to the temple. It's a place where people can let out their feelings of lost loved ones and just feelings in general. We put pictures in there last year for my grandma. It was sad because a bunch of people were expressing their feelings and
I think she's having a great time here for the most part. It's hard to get a straight answer sometimes, but I've always told her that, you know, when you're ready to go, we'll go. And that's what we've done in the last 2 years.
I'm one of the kids that wanted to be here. I've always wanted to be here. And I think it's important for parents who want to bring their children here to include them in this, to actually do that. But then if the kid says, you know what, Dad, that really wasn't for me, I didn't like it, let them have that, because that's just as an important lesson to them as perhaps some of the other things that they will experience while they're here.
I want it to be all positive, and so far it has been.
I love seeing my boys out here. They have such a great time and they have such wonderful experiences with the people and the artwork and the art cars, and they elicit really wonderful responses from other people that I think other people aren't even expecting.
Burning Man is a place that nobody can copy.
I would love to come back.
I will be going next year.
Will I come back to Burning Man with my daughter? Yes. I will be back with her, grow even more on a spiritual level as well.
We're able to have a really wonderful time out here and do things that my kids would never be able to see otherwise.
Yes, it is a perfectly fine place for kids. I get asked that a lot.
The journey has to continue. For her, it's the most beautiful experience I could ever imagine.
As the event has matured and grown up, there are these generations moving through, and I love to see older and elderly people here. I love to see kids here. I think the inclusion of all ages just makes the entire experience more authentic and more translatable to the rest of life, which is ultimately what's going to make it sustainable and to allow it to have ongoing impact.
You'll be really, really amazed if you let these kids off the leash a little bit. They're whole people. Even when they're little tiny people, they're whole people already. And this is a great place to let them be who they are and let them find out who they are.
I'm Teal and I'm a burner.
And Problem Child, Terry, if we can have you on stage with us, please. Perfect. And don't forget to unmute yourself, Terry.
All right. Hello.
Perfect. Austin, would you like us closer to each other? That'd be easier. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move closer. There we go. Perfect. Great. And funny enough, this morning, Ariel got back to us and said yes,
missed. Yeah, I just talked to him on the phone.
Yeah, I don't know how to get him set up in time to join us.
No, he's missed it. I told him to watch on YouTube, so he might be watching on YouTube.
He can also join the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he can join the Zoom, and I don't think there's a way that we can be in here and there at the same time. So I think he's just missed it. Okay. All right, everyone. Please join me in welcoming Terry Pratt, Problem Child. Back at the 2011 Burn, a small group of talented video producers decided to make a gift. And as part of a public relations initiative, they created video treatments of selected art projects, offering artists the tools of media and storytelling to help promote their work, their teams, and their dreams. And out of that spirit of generosity, Terry founded Profiles in Dust as a volunteer documentary film crew for the Burning Man project. Since then, his team of 6 official members, along with many other contributing burners, have produced more than 50 documentaries exploring the art, culture, and community of Burning Man. And we are going to show 3 of them here today. So Terry, thank you for helping preserve so many stories from the dust. We're so glad you're here with us today. So thank you so much.
Yes. It was great seeing that movie again.
When was it produced?
That was in 2015. So it's been 10 years.
Oh, 10 years. Well, I brought my mom to Burning Man in 2014, and one of the things that she loved about Burning Man was all the kids.
Yeah.
She said it made her feel like this amazing grandmother for everyone.
Yeah, and we did film. Yeah, we filmed in 2014 and 15, and finished it in 2015 and released it. So it took us 2 burns to do.
Well, it's wonderful. And some of those kids, so when you think about 2015 was 10 years ago. So all of those kids are 10 years older, 11 years older. So it'd be fun to do a follow-up of kids at Burning Man.
Yeah, I saw a couple of my friends, Ariel's children were in there. A couple of the boys at the end were his kids. And they camped with us. That's kind of why we did it, because we had them in our camp for like 4 or 5 years. All the way up to I think the last time we had one of the kids was 23 during the mud year. We had 2 of the kids.
And they probably loved it.
Yeah, they bailed.
Oh, they bailed. They didn't like the mud year.
Oh, no. One of them hitchhiked and made it all the way back to Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
I thought they would enjoy.
16 years old, hitchhiked out of Burning Man and got a ride and made it all the way to LA.
Well, that's resiliency.
Yeah.
So it would be fun to do one called Growing Up Burners.
Yeah. And
do the follow-up of all those kids and where they are and what they're doing. It'd be really interesting. So what originally inspired you to focus on families and children at Burning Man as a documentary subject? You said because you had the kids in your camp, but I mean, it's more than just that there's kids in camp. You really covered the gamut.
Yeah. It was I think it was pitched to us. The idea originally was pitched to us by, I think, Megan Ritigliano at the time. And because in the off season we would pitch ideas back and forth, and we did come up with the idea of let's do something about kids at Burning Man, and that just had the ring to it. And so we did. That's one thing. We had like 6 camera people, and then we just followed the kids around. We actually tried to do another one later, kid filmmakers, and you'll see some of that in there. You see some kids running around with cameras, and that was us trying to make another documentary called Kids at Burning. I forget what we were calling it. It was going to be a filmmaker, kids making little films. It was going to be a great idea, and it didn't work. It did not work. So we just put all our effort into Kids at Burning Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I think would have been an amazing project to see Burning Man through the eyes of kid filmmakers.
That's what I wanted to do. That was a vision we had, and it didn't fulfill itself, sadly.
Oh.
It still could happen.
It still could. I think it's a really good idea. Maybe it's maybe something that Videogasm could, because they do filming at Burning Man and putting together little documentaries. So maybe it's a partnership. Maybe it takes a little bit more communal effort to get that one off the ground.
Yeah,
and maybe Burning Scouts. You earn a merit badge if you make a little film.
There you go. Yeah.
There's a way. There's a way to do this. Well, so there's a lot of different opinions about having kids at Burning Man. So how did you approach telling this story in a way that felt balanced? Given all those, there's a lot of people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe there's kids at Burning Man. And then there's other people think that it's the most magical thing for kids to experience, for parents to experience through the eyes of the children. So how did you keep that balanced?
Well, obviously we weren't going to talk to people that didn't want kids at Burning Man, because we weren't interested in hearing that opinion, and that was not part of what we were trying to do. So what we did, we approached Kidsville, and they gave us contacts to parents, and so we approached through parents, and got permissions, and then when we
hold on one second, Terry. Kevin, can I get you to move your avatar, please? Kevin, can you move your avatar? Thank you. Mm-hmm.
And so having the parents, we had to have the parents, with us and on our side. And so that's how we approached it. And that's how we found the little talents that we found. There were some kids that really, really could articulate how they felt. And, so yeah, and that's a lot of the filmmaking we do is to approach beforehand and find willing people that are willing to talk about things. Because if you just show up and just shove a camera in someone's face, that's not going to work.
No. As a crew that's running around interviewing people, we have definitely seen that happen. Where it's like, oh, this would be a really great thing to capture. I have to ask everyone permission first before I can throw a camera down. And sometimes we do and try to ask permission after, and that never goes well.
Yeah, and this was a very touchy subject too, because you're dealing with kids, and you're dealing with kids. It's Kidsville too. Kidsville is basically a daycare center a lot of times. I think is how some burners view it. So a lot of times the parents are gone, their kids are there. Parents are gone, but you can't just start filming their kids. So that was a very, very important thing that we did, was to find out who we could film and make sure that we had written permission from their parents before we even turned cameras on. So that was a very, very important thing we did.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did. Was there anything that surprised you most while interviewing parents and children for the film?
Well, the one girl that had been there basically all her life, I forget her name, and I think she's still coming to Burning Man.
The one with the pink hair?
Yeah. That's pretty astounding. And and then later in life with the kids that we brought with us, with Ariel's children, that I hate to say it, they literally grew out of it. They're like, nah, don't need to go anymore. And so that's why they haven't been back to Burning Man with us, because they're kind of just like, no, that was it. So maybe they'll see it again, when they get a little older, and they go, you know what, maybe I'll go back. So we'll keep our eyes on them. And I keep asking them every time I see them, like, hey, you're going to come back with us? So you never know. We'll try to do something, maybe teenagers at Burning Man. I don't know.
So you've been going to Burning Man for a long time. How have you historically seen the presence of families evolve in Black Rock City since you began documenting the culture overall?
I think it's been about the same. I mean, we've had, I must say, we haven't had too many more kids in our camp. Those boys were the ones. We haven't had young kids like the last 2 years. I don't know why. But I do see kids everywhere. I see lots of Burning Man. I view Burning Man just like a city now. It's just like every class and type of people are around you. I since I don't run around and do the party scene as much, but I stay around my camp a lot, and so I see who flows through, and I find the kids, especially we have the narwhal at our camp a lot, right? So kids, lots of kids, that just climb all over this thing, and some days you'll just go, wow, this is the kid magnet, this whole place. So I find I think I've seen more kids in the last 10 years than the first 10 years, quite frankly.
Well, and a lot of burners meet their partners at Burning Man and build families together. So you have all of these next generation of kids born into the culture.
I can see bringing small kids out would be a real painful experience. And I've seen some people try to do that, and I can see that could be really painful. But kids, I'd say anywhere from 6, 7 on up. I would, if I had a child, I'd definitely be bringing my kid to Burning Man. I wish I could bring my dog personally.
Yeah, our fur babies. Although I don't know that your dog would be very happy with all of the dust and the heat or the rain and then the bright flashy lights and the loud noises.
Yeah, maybe.
And animals tend not to like that. And I agree with you with little kids. I always tell people when they say, can I bring my kids? I'm like, can they communicate their discomfort to you? Can they tell you that they're hungry? Can they actually tell you that they're hot? Can they tell you that they're not feeling well? Is that communication there? Because if it is, then your kid will probably do be fine at Burning Man. But if they're like 2, 3 years old and they're unable to actually, or even 1-year-old and unable to actually communicate with you their needs, then that's probably not a good time to bring them out to Burning Man.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to open this up. Did anybody have any questions for Terry? Just raise your hand, or if you're on your computer, just shake your avatar and I'll call on you. Did anybody have any questions? Anybody? Yes?
Yeah. I want to say that was very well done. If anybody was thinking of taking their kid to Burning Man to watch that film, I feel like checked a lot of boxes to where some people are not sure if they want to go. So you did a great job in telling that story and really covering a lot of the bases, because everybody has so many questions to ask. So well done. Well done.
Thank you. And that was his intention, was to, put the facts out there, right?
Yes, because there is a lot of untold stories within all of that. And I don't know if there is a right way to do it right, but I feel like you did, you could cover, I feel like the obnoxiousness of children as well. Like you did a good job of not necessarily showing too much of that, but, there's definitely probably some challenging situations people could have to navigate with children out there. And you did do a good job of not revealing that, but well done overall. I mean, I feel like you can't. There's so much of everything out there, and congrats to you. I think you should keep telling stories, man, because you did a great job.
Thank you. We got the newest one is going to be shown here in a little bit, I think.
Oh, very cool. Look forward to seeing it.
I think it's the next film is going to be the newest one, the one we just released.
Yes, Admiral.
Oh, yeah, another great work from Profiles in Dust, I have to say, a big fan. My question is about the actual filmmaking process being exposed to children and documentaries. Because I think, like at this time, 2016, I think you said, right?
2015,
it
yes.
wasn't. Yeah, so I don't think at that time cell phones and TikTok and all these things were that ubiquitous, and I don't have any kids, so I'm just wondering when you expose them, like we're making a movie, we're making a documentary, maybe they were only used to Pixar movies. Does that make sense? Just sort of like,
we actually had
you're in a
cameras.
movie.
We had cameras for them when we were trying to do the kids filmmaker one. Yes, we actually brought cameras for them, and we tried to. The whole idea was to teach them how to use a camera and frame and make a story. It was complicated, and it didn't work. But we did have fun with a bunch of kids, and we got some great footage, and that it ended up in this documentary. So.
Well, just were the kids like just doing interviews and things like that? That's sort of not a normal type of experience for kids.
Exactly. No, what we did, we took them on a tour there was the narwhal. You saw the kids all on the narwhal. We took them on the narwhal. We went to the man base, and we were the idea was to let them wander around the man and kind of film it from their perspective, and then we were going to form a story out of that. That was the intention of that series.
And Mice, you had your hand up. Did you have a question?
Yes, actually, it has nothing to do with the movie per se, but I'm curious, what is the children's experience after the burn, the decompression type of thing, if you know?
Well, that's an interesting question. That's a good question. I don't know. Terry, do you have an insight?
Well, I've been around Ariel's, my buddy's kids. He has 5 boys, and we've brought 3 of them out. I find kids very resilient, and they helped us wrap. Obviously, every time you're done with a big camp, spend another week just cleaning stuff and getting stuff put away. They like any kids, they lose interest real fast, but they also it wasn't like they had trauma. It was like they were already they relished the experience. But they were already moving back into the real world. They move much quicker back into the environment, into the real environment than we do. Yeah, and so it doesn't really phase them as much. I do believe in 2023, the mud year, it phased. They 2 of the boys had enough, and literally they had enough, and they were like, "We're out." And so that was interesting because the rest of us, our whole camp, and there was 70 people. We're just dealing with it, and the 2 kids were like, "No, we got to go," and they did, and they left. So, which was pretty astounding, considering they were minors and they just left. That was interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, I loved the rain. I thought it really brought the community together, and it was a lot of fun, and you could slosh around in it. In a way, it made me more of a kid. Then the playa makes me more of a kid, but being in the rain and the stickiness of it, and it definitely brought that out even more. I wanted to sculpt with it. I wanted to stomp around in the puddles, and so I loved it. But yes, I know we had a couple people in our camp that were like not having it. They wanted out, and the minute the playa was dry enough that they could drive away, they completely did. So it's not for everybody.
Yep.
I have another question for you. So after making this film, did your own perspective on Burning Man shift in any way?
On this film? I can't say it did. Yeah, my view of Burning Man always shifts. It changes. As I'm an observer, so that's what I do. This is my way of observing, is by making these films, and whatever area I'm focusing on, I find it very interesting. Like this was very interesting. I had no idea about kids at Burning Man, and that there was this camp that caters to kids, and you know what I mean. And so that was a great thing to learn. I learned it as we filmed it, and that's kind of the way we approach what we're doing. Is we find a subject matter that interests us, and we attack it with vigor and try to make a cool story out of it. And And like I said, we had great grandiose visions. We had other visions of kids, and the kid filmmaker one is still one that's in my head, and I still think it's a good idea. It's just got to figure a better way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea as well. Just got to find the right partners to make it happen. Any other questions? Do we have any other questions? Yes, Admiral.
One thing you were talking about is looking from the perspective of the kids, but one thing I didn't see in the movie that I've always wanted to see in a documentary about kids is actually putting the camera down to the level of the kids' eyes. Like, I see all the movies are always just shot, while you're standing up looking down at the kids, rather than, do you ever think of that, of just getting down on the ground and putting the camera at their level?
That was part of the intention of having the kids become part of the filmmakers. And it just didn't work. We let them try to film each other, and there was just what we really needed to do, if we ever do this again, is to have, before Burning Man even happens, go and teach kids how to use the gear. Have like a weekend class, and teach kids how to film, and then bring it to Burning Man. The place to teach them is not at Burning Man. The place to film is at Burning Man. The place to teach them is at home, because it just doesn't work.
Because the learning curve. Yeah, they should come to Burning Man and then film instead of come to Burning Man and figure out how to use the camera. Then you get very frustrated.
Yeah, and Admiral, I agree with you. That was that was one of our ideas, was film from their perspective, and that was one of the intentions, and it just didn't come to fruition. Good observation, though.
That footage is floating around somewhere in the ethos, though. That amazing footage.
I have it. I have drives and drives and drives. Yes, we have it.
So it's about time for us to do our second film, which is also a Profiles in Dust. And afterwards, we'll have also Peter Platzkummer and CJ Roughgarden joining us, and you'll hear from them from that film as well. So thank you, Terry, for our Kids at Burning Man Part 1. We're going to head back to the screens. If you have the bug when you go inside of the bijou, don't go inside of the bijou. But you can get popcorn from the tent over here. And if you want some candy, send somebody else into the bijou to grab it for you. For those that are listening on Zoom, for YouTube, like and subscribe. It's gonna keep going. We're not gonna stop. For those on Zoom, hello, welcome. So let's head on over to the screens again and watch Art into the World.
I'm gonna head over to the voice now. I'll see you later.
So I'm just going to wait for a moment for the screens to change.
Yep.
Sweet crab walk.
All right, everyone, let's move into our second film of the morning. Up next, we have Art into the World, another powerful documentary from Profiles in Dust. This film explores a fascinating evolution in the life cycle of Burning Man art. Traditionally created to exist for a single week in the desert, many monumental sculptures are now finding a second life beyond the playa, traveling into cities around the world and becoming part of the permanent public spaces. Through interviews with artists, organizers, and community members, Art into the World looks at what happens when temporary art becomes lasting infrastructure. How does the meaning shift? What is preserved? What is transformed? And how does the spirit of Burning Man travel with it? After the screening, Terry Pratt will be joining us again, along with Peter Platzgummer and CJ Roughgarden for a live Q&A conversation. So look for them in the film. So let's step into the journey of art beyond the dust. Enjoy the film.
Rise and dub minute.
A lot of Burning Man art ends up in storage. It ends up in a shipping container.
It's not like I'm gonna build it and it's gonna stay there. I have to take it with me and then I have to do something with it afterwards.
It's difficult to find places out in the world for it. People end up paying rent for it to stay in a warehouse. It ends up in a dumpster.
It would be wonderful if it would go somewhere more permanent and to have a wider audience.
I have what I call an art cemetery. A lot of the pieces that I make that I don't sell are sitting gathering dust in an old building site.
Some of it is built really well and it just takes a lot to install.
We're building this because it's our passion. We want to express our vision and bring it to people and show it off.
A small amount of it makes it into the real world, and we're hoping to be one of those pieces.
For Burning Man, I decided to build a jíbaro. In Puerto Rico, it's referred to like a countryman, like a true, authentic Puerto Rican. He's protecting the town, but it's also who he is. It's his culture. His town is his culture. What made him, where he comes from, you know? That's all he has. And it's all I had as well. And someone took it away from me. So I got the chance to tell that story in Burning Man.
But I saw these two trucks intertwined on the playa. It was preposterous. I thought, it was an amazing piece of art, but also, could I do something that original? In Canada, they got rid of the penny in circulation. People were doing stories in print about, I use pennies and you can make a floor with them or do a collage. And I went, what else can you do?
When she said, let's make the Lincoln Memorial, I said, yes, that's my favorite president, and that's how Lincoln got built.
For me, symbolically, a rocket is a celebration about adventure and travel and discovery. I want all of us, especially at Burning Man, to kind of experience that and remember that, life is one hell of an adventure, and we should all just embrace it and go for it.
Naga and the Captainess. 100-foot long metal sea serpent. Steel frame with an epoxy coating and stainless steel mesh and aluminum scales. They'll be painted. This hump is about 10 feet tall. The next one's 12 feet tall. The head is 22 feet tall. The ship, the beautiful ship, the Alto Grande, is over 100 feet long.
It consists of 4 major pieces: a bow that's sticking up out of the water, bowsprit, figurehead. There's a portion of the deck of the ship, the mast, which is super tall. You can climb up to it to a crow's nest and look out. And then there's the stern, which is the largest section that's also sunken into the water. That is 2 stories, about 25 feet tall.
And the Captainess's quarters that you can go inside and see all of her journals and her research equipment, because she was an adventurer and a botanist and an experimenter. And so you'll see her little lab, and that's all being made by different artists.
And we've developed a whole story around it, and we're actually thinking we might write a book.
As soon as I got a phone signal after the burn, people start leaving, and then all of a sudden get service. I had 10 offers, from all over the place. I had some from Puerto Rico, from museums, private collectors. People were actually like it and really want it.
We've had some really nice luck thanks to Burning Man. They've helped us get our work out there. We get to exhibit one of the largest gallery openings in the world. You get 70,000 people come to your gallery opening. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it is quite perceptible, the shift in the way that people are thinking about the art projects that they're taking out to Burning Man now that the secondary market has become more viable. If they know that there is a chance now that they can sell that piece when they leave the playa, it makes them more able to justify creating it in the first place.
This event has generated a new market for art, but a very different kind of market. People take these works now, they don't burn them so much anymore, and they take them and a whole festival culture has embraced interactive art. And so now you can take it on the road.
What distinguishes Burning Man art from other art is because it's limitless. Because of the landscape, it's limitless.
I met Crimson Rose at an event at the Nevada Museum of Art. I told her that it would be great to have Burning Man art in Reno. We talked later, and I said, I want to help make this happen.
We've said no to very few projects because we really love to encourage people to experiment and push the limits.
If you're a city that can embrace art, but also have the talent that you have and the relationship that you have with Burning Man, I mean, how can you not foster that and bring that inside your city and collaborate? It changes the landscape of the city so much on every levels, whether it's arts therapy or it's performing arts. To have Burning Man in our backyard is absolutely magnificent.
Whenever you rebuild a city, a downtown, it's usually started with young people. And Burning Man appeals to the young people, and it gives them a reason to come back and look at downtown in a new way. That's really why we enjoy the Burning Man involvement here. Art replenishes the soul, and we are replenishing basically half of downtown Reno. We're giving it rebirth, and we just felt that art should be part of that rebirth.
Originally, I envisioned almost like a Venice Biennale where we had a sculpture that was at the Nevada Museum of Art and that there would be other sculptures throughout Reno, and people would get a map and you could go around and you could experience Burning Man art throughout Reno. The J Resort had the budget and the vision to bring really big Burning Man art to downtown Reno.
Maria from Art Tech, she was really serious about it. So we had a conversation. I said, okay, let's do it. Taking it to Reno is free for everyone, and everyone's gonna see it. I'd rather have a sculpture in a place that can tell a story for everyone can learn and know.
It's an artist's dream to always have a permanent place for people to come and appreciate the art.
I had to modify the houses. It's made out of wood, so I made replicas out of steel. Maria told me, well, there's a perfect place where you can do that called the generator. I fixed the jibaro here, and then I got another art grant and make a big giant heart made out of tiny little homes inspired from the jibaro. Being here in the generator just inspired me to do the next sculptures.
I hope that Reno in general continues to move in the direction of supporting the arts and reimagining Reno as more of an arts city.
We're really seeing a dynamic change how people perceive arts and culture on a national and international level, because when we provide spaces for artists to create, there's nothing that they can't do or accomplish.
Mark was finishing up Ibaro Soy and he was just about to leave, and this man walked by and he said, Ibaro! And I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, he's Puerto Rican. And I said, see, Mark is over there, the artist is over there. So I yelled, and so Mark got out of his truck.
I see Maria's like, hey, you have to talk to this guy. And I say, hey, how you doing? Hey, my name is Hector from Puerto Rico. And I'm like, what? From Puerto Rico? Yeah, what part of Puerto Rico? I'm from Bayamon. What? I'm from Bayamon. Dude, I live next door. Now I see the sculpture from my window every day now. Yeah, man, that was so cool.
For that man to walk by and just light up, it meant so much to Mark.
In the most informal and natural of ways, we have a lot of interactions with Burning Man. We have no corporate sponsorship. It's all the culture of generosity. We sort of eschew the economy of reciprocity. We create nothing that requires paid admission. So I consider us a mutation of Larry Harvey's spirit here in San Francisco, and I've been in service almost unconsciously to the idea of bringing some of the beauty that inspired me so much on the playa to the place that we live.
This is going to be, I believe, instantly iconic and radically beloved. I think it's going to change usage patterns in the park. Kids are going to flock here, families are going to flock here. These projects, especially when you start to stack one upon the other, can make a huge transformational difference in the place that we live.
We are finally installing Naga in Golden Gate Park, and it is super exciting. We've been talking to the park for like a year and a half. We did our first crane day today.
We always said Burning Man and beyond. We always knew we wanted Naga to have a life after. We planned for that with engineering and with waterproofing and paint. But we never really guessed in a pond. That's definitely a next level. It's pretty wild. We've all seen it on Playa, where it was big, but it was in a big space. And seeing it here in this new home, it looks even bigger. It feels even bigger. To look at all the amazing relationships, the skills people have built, the friendships they've made, pride they have in themselves and their workmanship.
Shockingly, the park does not give us any money to do any of this.
Art is not a priority for a lot of cities. Even when cities like San Francisco have an art budget, it doesn't necessarily mean they will spend it on art that's already built or might not be very specific for a place. That's the case of Naga. However, art can make a place more exciting, more beautiful. It can make it safer. It can make it more interactive. It can make it more interesting, and it can put it on a map as nothing else can.
This is years of relationship. This is a vision and sort of the courage to look beyond the obvious. We don't have a cudgel. We can't force anyone to do anything. Our only power is the power to inspire. And I always think there's sort of a divine pragmatic poetry that unlocks the beauty and the generosity in all of us. So this is a journey of 10,000 conversations. We're looking for the words that unleash that human spirit. And we've been very fortunate to build on the successes we've had with the relationships with Rec and Park. This does not happen without really beautiful human spirit in that organization.
Ben Davis's organization, Illuminate, has been our connector to Golden Gate Park. His organization has been behind a lot of the murals and the sculptures along Golden Gate Park. It was his grand idea and grand vision, actually, to put it in the pond of Rainbow Falls. We were fortunate enough to meet Ben Davis early on in our project stage and get connected to the park through him.
They've been very supportive and like drained the pond and cut trees down for us. There has been lots of effort put forward and lots of excitement. But we were shocked to learn that there's not like city funding for this stuff. But even though the city really wants it, as of right now, we don't have funding for the ship.
I mean, it's certainly a labor of love, making an actual creature and just wanting to impart the love into him. And then this amazing crew also giving so much to him. It's like, it's taken an awful lot out of me. I haven't slept in so long. Someone asked me what this was, and I said it was debt and sleep deprivation.
I've never cried so much.
Which is true. But how to see the vision through and bring it to the level that everyone is hoping for. This little gift to the city that I love so much.
These guys are unstoppable, and that's why we're going to get there. And there's a lot of love.
The dream is unstoppable. You just want to do great things with their hearts and their hands.
Almost fell off the end. And if I could have CJ and Peter and Terry join me on the stage, because joining us today for the Q&A, please welcome our panelists. First off, we have Peter Platzgummer. Peter has been with the Burning Man Project since 2021, serving as the Associate Director of Art Management. And in this role, he supports artists throughout the full life cycle of nearly 500 large-scale sculptures each year. From early stage design and construction through financing, project management, post-event placement. Previously, he worked as the program manager and producer at a U.S. art fabrication studio specializing in immersive kinetic high-tech installations. He's also a board member and part of 5 Ton Crane Artist Collective, building community sculptures and exhibiting across the United States. Peter holds a PhD in public management from the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. So Peter, oh, fantastic. Next we have CJ Roughgarden. CJ is an Oakland-based artist and architectural metal fabricator whose work spans steel, stainless, aluminum, brass, bronze. Her installations often incorporate movement, fire, and light, and are designed to engage both environment and community. She specializes in collaborative site-specific work that creates moments of connection and wonder in public space. CJ is also one of the 3 artists behind Naga and the Captainess, and Naga was just installed in Golden Gate Park, so if you're in San Francisco, go visit it at Rainbow Falls. And of course, please join me in welcoming back Terry Pratt to the stage. Terry founded Profiles in Dust in 2011 as a volunteer documentary film crew for the Burning Man Project. What began as a generous effort to amplify artist stories has grown into a body of more than 50 documentaries exploring the art and culture of Burning Man. So thank you all for being here, and let's dive in. If I can have both CJ and Terry Problem Child come to the front of the stage and unmute yourselves. Terry, move forward a little bit more. There you go, perfect. And CJ, if you can go ahead and move forward a little bit more. Nope, Terry, you're good. I don't want you to fall off the stage. CJ, a little bit more. One more step, perfect. There we go, great. That looks amazing. And then Peter, if you can unmute yourself as well.
Do that.
Perfect. Let me get to... So welcome everybody. Thank you, Terry, for making this very important film. You've done a lot of filming, Terry, on Playa. What inspired you to explore the afterlife of Burning Man art out into what we call the default world?
Yeah, this one has a good story because I was actually driving out to Gerlach 2 years ago for some other reason. I forget, finishing another documentary is like April or something. And I was driving just outside of Nixon. I get a call from Stuart Magrum, and I pull over, and he's like, let's talk about a new project. And I'm like, yeah, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, let's start thinking about trying to do something outside of Burning Man. And within 10 minutes, we came up with the idea of following art into the world. And then we reached out to Peter, and then as Peter has his thumbs on all the on what's going on. And I think Peter, he had like 2 or 3 projects that we thought there was a life after Burning Man already envisioned for them. And Naga was the biggest one. And so we immediately started pursuing that. And that's how we showed up. And I think CJ remembers when I showed up the first time. It was a long time ago, and they were literally building the skeleton. And we started the process. So it took about 2 years to finish this film in its entirety.
I'm so glad you created it, and I'm so glad you reached out to Peter. So Peter, from the Burning Man project perspective, what shifts have you seen in how artists think about post-Playa placement today versus a decade ago, or 5 years ago even?
Well, that's a good question. I think we're all starting to professionalize more. Like, as much as Burning Man is a place where you can learn and grow and be an artist for the first time, for a lot of artists who've done this for a while, it's also a chance to kind of build something bigger and more complex than they've ever done. And over the last years, we've worked really hard to have conversations with these artists early to think about the steps that they have to take to make art work later on too. One of the issues is that our pieces are very interactive. Interactivity isn't always working for public places the same way it does. They have to consider structural engineering, and they also have to consider how the environment that they put their artwork in afterwards is dealing with their work. You think that a piece that's going to Burning Man can hold up for pretty much everything afterwards, but that's not really the case. It's quite a lot of work. With CJ, since she's here, we had these conversations very early, and CJ has been a professional fabricator for many, many years and has worked on so many art pieces, and she had this all built in. Like we already knew this is a piece that wants to go out, that's ready to go out, and honestly, like they were so proactive with everything that the Burning Man organization itself just was standing on the side and clapping for them. Not
Yeah, I was standing on the side clapping as well. So CJ, as an artist whose work now lives in the default world, is this changing your creative process when you know that a piece may have a long-term home?
No, because I would never build something that didn't. I think I'm of the Burning Man generation where I stand on the shoulders of giants, having come into this through 5-ton crane like 15 years ago. I've seen so many pieces in storage and so many people struggle, with what to do with their pieces after. Also, just the environment around has changed. It used to be really easy to get cheap shop space in Oakland. It used to be really easy to have a job and make Burning Man art as a hobby, and I don't really see that as possible anymore. So, as a professional fabricator, just not a high-paid career, to make something just for funsies was kind of always out of the question. Aside from just personally, I particularly pride myself on a high quality of workmanship. So if I was ever going to make something that I was going to invest like a year of my life in, it was going to be something that was going to last. So that was part of it from the beginning.
Oh, and Naga is incredible. And if you guys haven't seen, there is a Naga in Captain S World. You can find it on the World Selector, and you can go visit the piece. It is remarkable. It is absolutely gorgeous, but nothing compares to visiting it in the physical world. Like going to Golden Gate Park and visiting Naga there, and you guys continue to fundraise. You have the bubbles to pay for, you have the installation to pay for. So continuing to support this piece and supporting art is part of the reason why we're doing BurnerSphere, and the reason why that we need to keep this art going out in the world.
Yeah, we've got a cool store. You can get your Naga swag at nagaandthecaptainess.com as well. We are not allowed to advertise in the park. We're not allowed to have a sign that goes to our website. There's pretty much, no way that we can fundraise. People say, "Oh, you learn to fundraise." It's like you don't learn to fundraise. Like you know wealthy people, you don't, and you find people that want to talk to their wealthy friends, or you don't. So it costs about $500 a month if he's blowing all his bubbles through both of his nostrils. And turns out putting stuff in a pond is really expensive. But it's all, it's worth it. It's worth it to see literally millions of people a year go see him, and kids losing their minds and dragging their families back day after day instead of being inside, watching TV. Or really cool to see people's interactions there and how.
I wonder if there's a way of doing a Naga cam where you can have a camera that goes to a website and people can donate some money to see what's going on at the Naga camp, like they do with like birds. Like I remember subscribing and watching a couple California condor just like hanging out in their nest, and I'm paying money to watch them hang out in their nest. Like maybe we could do something like that, like get creative with the fundraising.
Yeah, he doesn't move around too much, Usually when he gets out to the ocean, it's dark out, but there might be a privacy issue too. But I do wonder sometimes, I am like, what's going on out there? But it is fun every time I go down to see him, how many people he draws that are just standing there and taking pictures. And I'm very gratified to see how he really attracts people of all ages. You know, you'll get old timers walk up and be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And you'll see teenagers be like, well, that's sick. And little kids just like, Mom, can we come back every day? You know, like, oh my God, oh my God. It feels good. It feels really great to have brought it to the real world and give people that really different experience than they usually see of art. So it's been nice to see the public response. There's a couple haters, but that's okay. We just make stickers with their comments.
Terry, I have a question for you. What is the emotional difference did you notice when filming art in the desert versus filming it installed in a city environment?
Oh, interesting. Well, there's a great story in the doc about the gentleman that walked up while we were installing Habaro soy, and where the guy literally he knew exactly what that piece was about, right? And he lives in Reno, but he's from Puerto Rico. So that's pretty astounding, that you literally have affected someone almost immediately, right? And the guy lives right next to it now, so now he can go out and see this piece of art right from his home country. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. What about you, Peter? Have you noticed an emotional difference in the art? Because you've seen several pieces now go out into the world.
Yes, there's always a difference. Burning Man is one of the weirdest environments where you can set up art. In the desert, everything looks large and small at the same time. I have a lot of artists who are like, I need to make this piece and it needs to be at least 50 feet tall, because otherwise it doesn't give an impression, and it's just not true. Like, things are big and small, but your environment is completely flat and there's nothing around you, and that gives a very clear image of what you expect to see when you kind of work with an artist. And then when it goes out into the real world, things are very different. Like with Naga, that pond is big. It's really big, but Naga was also big, and CJ had to squeeze it quite together to make it work in this environment. And there was a big question if the trees are too big or if it gets lost in it or not. And I think it fits perfectly, luckily, and it works absolutely great. But the question of how you place art and what you do with it is a much bigger one in the real world. And then the other thing is Burning Man art is a 24/7 thing. We work with artists that they can show their art during the day and night, and usually in the public setting you don't have that the same way. So there's a bit of a difference there. And then, well, if you look, for example, at the pieces in Reno, almost all of them have a little fence around them. So one of the main things that we allow at Burning Man, that makes Burning Man so special, that you can interact with the sculpture and sometimes even climb on it, or do things that neither the artist nor we really like, doesn't really work the same way in the public setting. So you have to kind of rethink how you work with interactivity, how visitors approach a sculpture, how the audience can react to it.
And what are some of the logistical challenges? Because art that's built at Burning Man is temporary. So you're setting it up, and it might be incredibly harsh conditions and winds and all that stuff, but we just guideline it down, and it's temporary. And when you put it somewhere out into the world, they're permanent or semi-permanent, like they're going to be in an install for a year or two. So logistically, what are those challenges like?
I mean, some of the things are much easier. Like we, in order to anchor a piece at Burning Man, we only have a handful of different options. We're not allowed to dig anything into the ground. That's something that usually works much better when you're in the public setting. We only have a handful of different anchors to really work well. So we are kind of limited on the playa, and we lose this kind of limitation once we're going outside. Logistically, it's also what's easier on the playa is I can put my crane pretty much everywhere around the piece. So there's enough space everywhere around. In a pond, that's not going to work, especially a pond that has pretty steep rocks with trees on 3 of the 4 sides. So the artists had to deal with quite a lot of additional planning there. And then the last thing, like at Burning Man, everything is compressed into this 1 week. So things are quite stressful and exhaustive for artists, and you think that wouldn't be the case in the real world, but it's almost exactly the same. Like you have to compress your installation time. You might need to block streets. You might need to you're might interfering with traffic, and that makes it actually not really easier to do this in the Beyond world. When we set up CJ's piece, I was just there to help a little bit on the side, but I thought I would not be as exhausted as I would be on the playa. I was literally as exhausted. I think my dumb comments in the documentary are exactly because I was so exhausted that morning with all the work to get this piece on. It happened. It worked out really well. I'm very happy about it, but like every environment has different challenges. Every environment, like there isn't an easy environment for an art piece. The great thing when you bring it to the Beyond world is you've already done it once. But besides that, everything is new. Art is always a prototype. You're not building the same sculpture 3 times. So whatever you do, you consistently have to make new plans and figure out things on the go.
Yeah, like Naga didn't need those concrete barriers for it to be mounted on here on Playa, but you had to do that in the pond. That was a huge difference, a huge engineering difference that you had to take into account.
And a huge financial difference. Like,
right.
I mean, CJ can talk much more about this, but the craziest thing for me when it comes to installing Naga in the park was that Golden Gate Park or Rex and Park from San Francisco didn't have any plans on how this pond looks like. So one of the biggest challenges was figuring out how the ground of this piece looks like. And I think by now we have a pretty good idea, but CJ probably has a better idea how this ground looks like than anyone else in this park right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 100-year-old pond, and they didn't know it was down there. So when you talk about getting engineering done, you can't do engineering if you don't know what you're attaching to. So we had to do our own GIS survey. We don't know anything about concrete. We had to go and find someone that had a recommendation, get the engineering done. Turns out it was like not a good idea the way they wanted to drill these piles like 20 feet into the ground, which the park would have lost their mind about. That they approved it, not realizing that means they would need like a 50-foot tall drilling rig to drive into the pond. And meanwhile, they were like, "Oh, don't touch this bush," So we had to have the engineering redone once we found out it was actually in the pond, and talked to a concrete contractor who had a much better idea that it was much less invasive of what we should do. Yeah, I mean, the first time we got there, it wasn't our idea to put it in the pond. It was Ben Davis who was in the interview. You saw him talking. It was his idea. And he did a great job convincing everyone else that it was a great idea. But we go out there and look, and we meet the park engineer and the park maintenance crew for the first time. And the park engineer walks up and says, "All right, what are we working with?" And drawings. And he's, "Oh, I thought this was an inflatable."
Oh my gosh.
One of the park landscapers, probably like early 60s, he's been there since he was a teenager. He's like, oh, when I was a lad, like this used to be a rock quarry and like it goes down 20 feet. I remember an excavator below my feet. And I'm like, well, okay, the meeting's over. Like maybe we can put him in a field over there. I was like, no, this is a perfect place. Of course it needs to be here. It's gonna be great. I'm sure we can figure it out. So we decided to drain the pond. So we drain the pond, find out it's 5 feet deep, but the 5 feet goes down to like a foot of muck and then gravel below it. So we assume that like most ponds of its generation, it has some kind of concrete liner, like maybe 4 inches thick, old concrete. You imagine that San Francisco era of plaster and lath walls, and concrete was kind of relatively built a different way than it is today, relatively new. So we go out there to take measurements to see how tall the piles are going to be. And we're out there shoveling muck and shoveling rock under the muck, trying to find this concrete. And we spent all day digging holes all over the pond, and we can't find any concrete.
I remember CJ sent a message and was just like, I can't find the liner. There is no liner. We're digging down. There's nothing.
So there's no fucking liner. We think. We don't even know. Someone finally finds a news article, a vintage news article that talks about the pond being built. It was a rock quarry. The dust was blowing into the inner Richmond, and people were complaining. Some guy had gone to Paris and decided he loved parks and waterfalls, and wanted to make this quarry into a waterfall. So he came back and funded that. Very cool. This is like 1920s, 30s. The General Electric Company put in this wildly new innovation of electric lights into the waterfalls with rainbow filters. And so Rainbow Falls really was lights waterfall, which is very entertaining when people are like, oh, you've destroyed this natural pristine waterfall, as though it was like penguins were sliding down it 10,000 years ago. Burning Man art in there. Anyway, we found this news article and discovered that probably there was no liner in the pond. So then we redid all of our engineering based on not needing to. We were worried if we put large piles in, like precast ones, that it would crack the liner and then there would be damage to the water table and we wouldn't know about it. So the initial plan was to drill through the liner and then pour these big piers. Once we realized there was no liner, we could switch to these big mat slabs. And once we brought a concrete contractor on board who had better ideas. That's a big challenge working in the real world with this industrial level stuff where people are used to working with people who have real big budgets, not a donated art budget. So they're thinking of, okay, we're building a, 5-story tall building that's $20 million. Like, yeah, okay, the slab is, costs whatever it costs. And we're working on, please, will you give us $20 and we'll give you a sticker. It's a very different way of approaching. There's, a lot of convincing people that they should love art and get some portion of their services too. Sometimes works. Thankfully, we had some people, help us out. But then also later they were like, "Hey, you should give us some money for all our help." And we were like, "Oh, you didn't mention that." So we're still paying people who helped us every time a donation comes in. Then quite the journey.
Quite a journey is right. Quite a journey. And you're still looking for a home for the ship.
We are. So we got approval from the SF Arts Commission to place the ship in the park. The only funder really that we have is the Sabrangi Foundation, which gave us quite a bit of money, and they're supporting all kinds of lovely local artists and their Burning Man pieces and placing them around the city in the big art loop. But they are declining to fund the ship at this time. They feel like they've already activated that space well enough. If we found a different donor, we could put it there. But we just haven't found that person, and it's hard. I'm sure they exist, but how to get the word to them.
Yeah.
All these weird hit pieces of like, oh, tech bros replacing their Burning Man art to ruin San Francisco. Not sure where that narrative originated, but there seems to be this little bunch of writers that like to keep saying that over and over, ignoring that it's all, local artists who have real art careers, and almost all of us have commissioned other city art for a living. But yeah, like everything, funding is the challenge.
Yeah, funding. It's true with this platform as well. I mean, that's just, if you make art, you have to figure out how to fund that art. So before I open it up to questions from our audience, I have one question for each one of you. That each one of you can open, same question, answer. What do you hope happens culturally when Burning Man art becomes embedded in cities around the world? So Terry, why don't you start?
Well, I think that the intention is for people to become motivated, and I do when I see art, and I look at it and go, wow, that's crazy, that's great. Can I do that? I hope more people start thinking that way. I think the more these pieces are out there, the more people will look at them and say, hey, maybe I can try that.
And CJ? What do you hope happens culturally? Go ahead.
We put Naga in Petaluma over the winter, and we got such an amazing response from the community. Where he was placed at the fairgrounds, everybody in town could see him when they drove by, and they could drive past him. Disabled people could enjoy it without getting out of the car, and other people could walk up to him and take their pictures. And the feedback I was getting was from my city liaison. Their post about Naga got more views than anything they've ever posted. And everyone's feedback was that the art was accessible, both physically accessible, but also accessible to people who don't have training in art, which is something really interesting in the art world, where so much of it is like not accessible in that it doesn't necessarily make sense to you, or the reason it's allegedly important or allegedly valuable is because what other people in the art world are saying about it, not your direct experience of it, which is something I really profoundly love about Burning Man and why I got into this. I have no art training. I'm a political science major. I became a fabricator after volunteering on a Burning Man project because it was the first place in the world I ever found that the art was something that I was just meant to walk up to and touch and maybe climb on and talk to people about. So different than in right? And that there wasn't a sign telling me what to think. There wasn't a person telling me what to think. It was truly just my experience. I think that is really special, that, and the Burning Man's one of the places that's really thinking that sort of art out. And I think it's really profound for people too, who have felt art is intellectually inaccessible because it's not something that they can really know what their experience is supposed to be, because it's often so abstract. So I love that. And then, of course, the idea that perhaps you too can make it with your friends, and engage the community. But I think giving people that different approach to it, that different angle, that art is not just something in a gallery. It's not something you're not supposed to touch. It's not something that you're supposed to have training to appreciate. But I'm excited about it.
And Peter?
I think it's two things for me. The one is, like, as someone who works with artists, the way I see Burning Man for them is it's a sand pit where they can try out things and test things in a safe environment where there's a whole community who's helping them. There's a community who accepts them with radical inclusion, and there's a community who has a ton of experience and is willing to kind of help them set this up. You'll have heavy equipment operators who probably have more experience setting up art than anywhere else in the world. You have people who manage hundreds of artworks. When we're talking about 500 art pieces a year, just for a comparison, the United States has about 50,000 public sculptures. In all reality, we're setting up about 1% of all public sculptures in one spot for 1 week. So we have a ton of experience with that. And I want these artists to get this experience, but then not only do that at Burning Man, but go out into the world and make a living of it. Because you don't make a living when you make Burning Man art. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing. And the ability to kind of bring this into the world for them is a huge step into that direction. The other thing is, Larry Harvey was talking about magic porticos. He was saying that the gate for him at the event is a magic portico, and when you go through, you're going into another world where people are nicer to each other, and where you are more in a place of friends and everything. And to me, sculptures have a similar effect. They're a magic portico where you get a glimpse of how Burning Man works. And when CJ says you have a community like in
Mom, what are you doing?
I'm looking for my...
I don't know what to do.
Oh, hold on. I gotta mute myself here.
When you have a community like in Petaluma that really embraced it and did a whole bunch of stuff around it and gave a whole bunch of people a chance to kind of get a glimpse of how Burning Man works and how this community of people can work together and make great things, then that's great for our culture, and it gives us a chance to share our culture more with everyone in the world.
So that our culture is everyone's culture.
So that everyone has a chance to kind of check out our culture and see if they like it. And
Yeah.
we can see that people like it and love it. And maybe one third thing, like I was talking before about art as placemaking. That's what I'm talking about in the film. And one of the greatest things for me one of the greatest examples for me is Reno. Reno embraced Burning Man art over the last 10 years. They installed a whole bunch of additional artworks all over the city and turned the city into an art city. And it makes such a difference when you nowadays walk through the town. And, it feels so much more enjoyable. It feels so much more like a new cultural place for everyone, and not just a place where you want to go and gamble. That's amazing to see how art can transform this whole city and how everyone can embrace it.
I love that. Does anybody have any questions for our panelists? Yes, Justin, unmute yourself.
Yes, hi guys. I guess this question is for Peter, because you've had so much experience, sort of supervising the placement of different artworks in different cities. At Burning Man, when you buy a ticket, you are essentially, signing a contract saying that you run the risk of serious injury and or death. But in cities, people don't do that, and people aren't necessarily signing waivers when they get up close to art that wasn't necessarily built to be up to city code. So I'm just curious, what are some of the considerations that have to be undertaken and work done to install pieces of art to keep them safe, and not only to keep the art itself safe, but to keep people safe, and certainly to discourage people from who might have nefarious ideas about harming the art or accidentally harming themselves in the context of a city installation that's not necessarily guarded 24 hours.
Yeah. That's a very good question. I mean, first, I would start and say art at Burning Man is probably the safest things you can experience in the city. Like, we actually, like, every art piece that's more than 10 feet is structurally engineered. We're going through pretty much every little detail with these artists. We're discussing how the audience is going to react to it. We're also having safety officers from our own organization and from BLM who do walkthroughs and check out every piece. And in all reality, in all reality, we don't have a lot of issues with art at Burning Man at all. If I compare that to a normal city, we probably don't have more accidents than you would have at a normal playground. One of the big reasons for that is art that looks dangerous is often very self-regulating. So if the artwork looks very, very, very dangerous, a lot of people have enough respect of it that nothing really happens. So we're, in general, at Burning Man, we're doing really well, and people totally overestimate how much is happening. In the real world, timing isn't so much an issue. what we're discussing with artists very early is how they can take measures to, for example, take off steps or limit the access to the actual artwork, that the climbing doesn't work that well. But the pieces itself would be engineered in ways that are probably much safer for climbing than all other public sculptures that are out there. Sadly, one of the very easy ways for a city to deal with it is put a fence around, and we see that quite often. And we're still kind of trying to figure that out. But it's also like, we have 500 artworks. Maybe 50 of them can make it into a public setting. The reason for that is that's also the ones that are safer for the audiences and can deal with them better. There's certainly a few pieces that are always like at the edge of what could work or what we would consider safe, and that's probably not the pieces that will end up in the real world. So there's certainly also a selection.
Just as a follow-up with CJ, if I may, on that, CJ, I know the installation of Naga in the pond is something that sort of automatically keeps people from being able to get up close to it and touch it or climb on it. But when you were thinking about the life after Burning Man, what were your considerations about having it be accessible and out in the open 24 hours a day in a public place?
Not that different than Burning Man. You know, we knew people would try to climb, and we tried to place his spikes in a way and design the fins so that would be difficult. I think in the real world, we would probably have people scratching their names into his scales and doing stupid stuff like that and trying to climb him, which you can with a little effort. Well, I'll take that back. You could at Burning Man before he had his fins on when it was just spikes. But I was most concerned about the durability of the materials, so what we could coat that steel with that would make him rust-proof. As far as the design, it was for climbing safety, really similar in the real world in Burning Man.
Okay, thank you, guys.
I have time for one more question, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. Admiral, yes, you are waving your hand.
Okay, well, this is one of my favorite topics, having gone to Burning Man since '99 and seen the evolution, and also loving public art and seen many of these pieces. But in my other, I've worked in the museum space for 25 years, plus art museums and science museums. And I've always wished that I could see Burning Man pieces in museums. And just some of the reasons are, like, they have curatorial staff that knows how to deal with things. They have budgets, they have security, they have protocols for people interacting with them. And if you just look, if anybody's been to Los Angeles, I would say arguably the most Instagrammed or public or piece of art at the LA County Museum of Art is Urban Lights, the Chris Burden sculpture, which is just a bunch of lights, city light posts put up. And you'll see that that's the most viewed piece of art in Los Angeles. And if I took that art and put it on the playa, it would be cool, but it wouldn't blow me away like so many other things. And at the Hammer Museum of Art, they have these stupid plastic chairs that you can sit in and roll around on. And that became the most popular thing at the museum. And that would be like a throwaway thing in a camp, like a Greg Fleischmann piece of furniture. So what do you say about how we could bring the art from the playa into museums? And I didn't go to the Smithsonian show, and so I don't know if any of you saw that could speak to that, but that's my question. What about bringing the playa art into museums?
Well, I mean, a funny side story is Five Ton Crane brought the Capitol Theater to the Smithsonian, and one of the things the Capitol Theater had was this kind of fake popcorn that was made of clay and these little boxes of candy. And the museum was like, oh, people are touching these. And so to protect them, we took them away and put them in the basement. And we're like, it's actually okay. We would rather that people enjoy them and maybe some get stolen. This isn't, a legacy piece of artwork. We can just make some more. So anyway, just funny aside on, the attitude of museum staff trying to do their jobs, which is a little different than the experiential stuff that we're used to. But anyway, love your question. I'll let people who can answer that better than me speak.
I mean, I'm trying to find an answer for that. The biggest difference for us is if we have an art manager or a curator who's coming to the playa and actually experiencing it. That's what happened with the Smithsonian. That's what happens with the Hermitage, for example. We do have museums that kind of work with it and that embrace it. There's always a bit this, well, is this real art or not thing going? But I think the borders between high art, however you want to call that, and Burning Man art are much more fluid nowadays. Like you have so many more professional artists that are going to Burning Man. We had a Thomas Dambo piece. We had pieces of so many artists who are doing this full time. That's less of an issue. I really think it's the same issue that we have with everything else when we're starting to talk about Burning Man to people who haven't been to Burning Man. It's hard for them to understand it before they've been there. So best way for us is certainly inviting curators and giving them a chance to see all of that and just be blown away like everyone else of us when they go the first time onto the playa and see all this art and just think this is almost not possible.
I always thought that they should leave the big art up like for a week after everybody leaves, and then bring in curators from museums around the country, and so have them see the art without the party and everything going on, and then have conversations with the artist and say, I mean, this is a great piece. We want to put it in our museum, and their protocols for acquiring it and handling it and everything are in place, where you're dealing with people that deal with art, not city workers and bureaucrats and politicians that you have to deal with public art.
Well, add one more thing. I'm sorry if I'm taking away your time, but
that's okay.
One of the most exciting things for me is what BurnerSphere is doing, because it is an incredibly great way of seeing art and seeing how it could look like out there. And if you look at the BurnerSphere team started scanning some of the artwork and has some very realistic worlds now where you can see some of them. It's mind-blowing how close that comes to how things look like in the real world, and it's one of the ways that I use to share art with curators. So Athena, thanks for all you, Doug, and all of your team do, because this is really helpful for all of us to show this.
Yeah, you did an absolutely incredible job of capturing our piece for sure, which is really amazing to see after putting so much effort into it and knowing we'll never have quite the same ship and quite the same version of Naga together again, that we get to go back and feel like we're there is really special.
You're welcome. That is our goal. We want to be able to share this art with the world, capture a moment in time. I remember the first time we brought Kate Rodenbush in for her to see Helios after it had burned years earlier, and just her response of like, I never actually got to sit with my piece. I spent so much time building it and bringing it out and setting it up and getting it ready and then burning it, and I never actually sat with it. And having it here in BurnerSphere gives you that opportunity to go back and visit it as it was on the playa whenever you want, and to show it to other people, to show it to museum curators, to show it to funders, to show it to people that have the means and the ability to bring this artwork out into the world. So I think we need to wrap up. We're coming to the end of our time block. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to Terry and Peter and CJ for sharing your time and your insight and the incredible work that you're doing to carry Burning Man art beyond the playa. And as always, a deep gratitude to our campmates whose camp dues make gatherings like this possible and to keep the festival open and accessible to all. And if you're enjoying these films and conversations, we invite you to become a campmate and help us continue building experiences like this together. So the day continues. We are going to have two more programs today from 11 to 3:30 Pacific time. Videogasm will be hosting their Black Rock City Film Festival showcase. Now they have their own film festival that happens in Black Rock City during Burning Man, and they're going to be showcasing those films from the last 5 years, along with discussions and insights. So be sure to come back and check that out. And we'll reconvene at 5 p.m. to show 2 more films, Mutants at Black Rock, which is also a Profiles in Dust, and then Moments of Loose and Knox, which is art in motion by Mona and Neo from yesterday. And until then, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Hi, everybody on Zoom. You can connect, you can explore, and we'll see you right back here in the film festival world at 5 o'clock. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Athena, where's the Videogasm stuff?
Oh, Videogasms, I believe, is mystery here. I think it's in this world. But they're going to meet at Center Camp as well.
It's going to be right at the screen, same screen, right?
Same screens, right? I believe so, yes.
Right
same
here?
screens. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for putting the film festival together.
I just
This
wanted
is
to
the
say
best.
hello. It's Justin Gunn. We met
You're
at the opening of
welcome.
Naga. I'm a friend of Zach's, and I'm also
DJ,
partnered with Doug.
thank you.